Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We are about to start the service shortly, and Reverend Bates will be taking over very shortly. On the screen right now is the program for our service today. We are going to wait another moment or two before we begin. Reverend Bates, I'm going to mute and ask that you take the microphone. So if you want to just give it a minute before we start, and away we'll go.
Friends, greetings. Welcome to the space where we are gathered virtually, where we are in many places, different provinces, but gathered here for one purpose. Because you have loved Eunice Tuttle in so many different ways, and she has touched your life, and you have touched hers. And here in this space, her beloved family gather, and her friends, and we mourn her leaving us. We honor her life. We celebrate her. And we gather also to share stories and comfort each other. Together, we recall something of Eunice's life and remember her in quietness, respecting and recognizing her beliefs and our own. We give thanks for Eunice, for all that she was, for all that she always will be, for all that she did, for her love and kindness, for her strength and determination, for her faithfulness in using her gifts and talents. In this moment, we acknowledge that for Eunice, death is past, and the trials and pains of this life are no more. May she be at peace. It is holy space in which we gather, and so I want to light a candle as a reminder of the brightness of Eunice's living that she brought to everyone who knew her. And so we come and place ourselves in God's care, for we know that in life and in death and in life beyond death, God is with us and we are not alone. And so we're invited to say the words of a new creed together. We are not alone. We live in God's world. We believe in God, who has created and is creating, who has come in Jesus, the Word made flesh, to reconcile and make new, who works in us and others by the Spirit. We trust in God. We are called to be the church, to celebrate God's presence, to live with respect in creation, to love and serve others, to seek justice and resist evil, to proclaim Jesus, crucified and risen, our judge and our hope, in life, in death, in life beyond death. God is with us. We are not alone. Thanks be to God.
Thank you for that, Reverend Bates. So with that, we will now have our first hymn. So I'm going to mute. If you would mute your screen, then we will share the first hymn, which is How Great Thou Art. maybe.
we open up the scriptures and we find Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
Thank you so much for that, Reverend Bates. And now we would like the reading of the gospel. And I would like to ask Jennifer O'Byrne, Eunice's granddaughter, who lives near San Francisco in California, to read today's gospel. Praise be to God.
Let your heart not be troubled. You are trusting God, now trust in me. There are many homes up there where my Father lives, and I'm going to prepare them for your coming. When everything is ready, then I will come and get you, so that you can always be with me where I am. If this weren't so, I would tell you plainly, and you know where I am going and how to get there. No, we don't, Thomas said. We haven't any idea where you are going, so how can we know the way?
Jesus told him, I am the way, yes, and the truth and the life. No one can get to the Father except by the means of me. I am leaving you with a gift, peace of mind and heart. And the peace I give isn't fragile like the peace the world gives. So don't be troubled or afraid.
Thank you so much for that, Colin and Jennifer. That was beautiful. I apologize, Colin, I didn't introduce you. So with that, we would like to turn to the memories section of today's service. And how we would like to do this is please unmute your microphone and turn your camera on and make your presentation. And I would like to first introduce Mrs. Joanne O'Byrne, who lives in Ottawa, Canada. Joanne, if you could just unmute and we can see you perfectly.
Is that fine, Patrick?
Yes, that's fine, Joanne. You look great.
To those of you who do not know me, I live in Ottawa. I was married to Bob, Eunice's oldest son, who passed away in 1994. I remember so well the first time I met Eunice. My first impression was that she was a very attractive, classy, smart lady. The bar was immediately set high. I was also struck by what a warm and affectionate relationship Bob shared with his mother. I still can't believe my good fortune. Eunice was so kind and generous, the best mother-in-law anyone could ever ask for, and truly one of the easiest people I've ever had the joy of spending time with. We had the pleasure of traveling together on many occasions, usually family-related events, and she accompanied me on one bus excursion to Branson that we both loved. Eunice was so much a part of the difficult times I faced with the untimely death of Bob and her daughters, Yvonne and Kelly, who passed away from spinal muscular atrophy. Thinking back, Eunice pretty much put her life on hold to help and support us through Bob's illness and death due to a very aggressive brain tumor. I honestly don't know how we would have gotten through that time without her help. And what a wonderful, fun grandma she was. Yvonne and Kelly really adored her. always playing games, doing puzzles, crafts, telling stories, and the ever important shopping expeditions. Days were always exciting when Grandma visited. She was always game for anything. Eunice didn't ask for much. A few good cups of coffee to start the day and a tea break or two. But don't forget to schedule the most important afternoon nap into the day. I'm still in awe of Eunice's talent for crafts. My home is still filled with her beautiful, perfectly made creations: quilts, knitted sweaters, afghans, wall hangings, and a special cushion that she crafted from Bob's neckties after he passed away. I treasure each one. In closing, I'd like to share a poem by Helen Steiner Rice. It's entitled On the Other Side of Death. Death is a gateway we must all pass through to reach that fair land where the soul is born anew. For man's born to die, and his sojourn on earth is a short span of years, beginning with birth. And like pilgrims we wander until death takes our hand and we start on our journey to God's promised land, a place where there will be no suffering, no tears, where time is not counted in days, months, or years. And in that fair city that God has prepared, our unending joys to be happily shared with all of our loved ones who patiently wait on death's other side to open that gate. And I truly believe when Eunice passed through those pearly gates and saw the face of our Lord for the first time, he would have said, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." I love you, Eunice, and I will always miss your beautiful, gentle presence. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Joanne. That was really beautiful. Roy, could you turn on your video and
Patrick, it's on. It says the host has.
there you are. Now you're on.
There we go. Okay, all right. That host, I can't handle him. He's not doing what I expect. Anyways, that was very nice, Joanne. I enjoyed it very much. Hello to everyone.
Thank you.
This is perhaps more general, but Eunice is a very special woman. She loved her boys for who they were and are. She didn't always agree with what we did, but she was able to separate the two. All of us would do well to reflect on our mothers, and this is especially true for my grandchildren. Mom support all of us and all of our lives and fight every battle with us, no matter how big or small. Mom loved her boys in every way. She did it emotionally, educationally, and sometimes as a banker of last resort. As children, she cared for us, helped us with our schoolwork, and got us to events we couldn't miss. As teenagers, she guided us with advice and covered for us when we made mistakes. As adults, she loved us and our families. She visited and helped us along life's ways. She was a remarkable woman. Any other stories I have to do would relate to shopping and things along that nature that Mom loved to do. I recall going to visit her in Victoria, and she was going to show us some outfit that she'd bought in Sydney on Thursday with the Martmans. And every hanger in the closet was full of outfits that she hadn't worn yet, but she had bought in anticipation of the event. Great times were had by all. On that note, I'll turn it over to Patrick, and you can take it from there.
Thank you so very much for that, Roy. Yes. I'm just switching things around here. There we go. Thank you, Mom. We love you. I don't know if you noticed it, but in all of Eunice's pictures that you'll see today, her joyful smile. To be clear, this smile wasn't just for the camera, it was the way she lived her life. She kept that smile and her positive approach throughout her life, even through very difficult times. Mom raised David, Jason, and I in Porcupine Plain. Bob and Roy were pretty much on their own by then. But having 5 sons, Eunice understood boys really well. I dare say she understood them better than we did. And that took a really positive approach. A case in point, in 1992, when Joanne and Bob had rented a cabin up at Candle Lake and hosted a gathering of all the boys except for Jason, who was in Australia at the time, Joanne, Jean, and Angela were fretting about what to do, things we had to buy, the food we had to make. Do we need wieners? Do we need hamburgers? And Eunice said, whoa, 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 just calm down. As long as we don't run out of beer, everything's going to be fine. So she understood her boys. She really did. And that was her approach. Between 1965 and 1975, our family lived in the Corona Hotel. Growing up in a hotel was kind of a different experience to that of many of our friends. We lived downtown, if you can really say Porcupine Plain had a downtown. In this environment, Eunice always did her very best to guide us. And as Roy alluded to, that was sometimes a real challenge. Some of us were more mindful than others to the guidance. Clearly, we all strayed from that guidance from time to time. Regardless, she was there for us through all the good and sometimes not so good times in Porcupine. We loved with love and a positive approach. After Gerald passed away, she continued living in Porcupine, and she was a great support for Angela and I as our boys were young. In these times, her smile, her positive approach, and creativity, as Joanne had mentioned with her quilting and sewing, always shone through. Grandma will always have a special place in the hearts of our children. Even after she had moved to Sydney, we still saw a lot of Mom. We treasure our memories of her and the love she shared with us and her positive approach that she maintained through all of her life. With that, Jason, I would like to turn it over to you.
All right. Well, thank you, Patrick. Really appreciate that. Okay. You can hear me? Good. So most of you know that Eunice was a teacher, and Mom was my teacher. I would like to share some of her most important lessons. Firstly, she taught me to work hard. I saw her working as a teacher in Carragana and Weeks and Porcupine right up until retirement age. But as a youngster, I entered into the intense operations of the Corona Hotel. This was an interesting viewpoint from a young child. It was the cliche 24/7 operation. And I saw Mom and Dad working nonstop, 6 days a week. On the 7th day, Mom would get me up and we'd make our way to the United Church for service and a quick coffee. And then she was back to the hotel with Dad, cleaning and preparing for another week of hard work. I really learned a lot from her entrepreneurial spirit and work ethic, and that has served me well. She also taught me to be frugal. Her Scottish and Norwegian heritage, I think, came through and has served me well also. She taught me a very important lesson to stand up for myself. And any of you who ever saw Eunice angry will completely understand what I mean. We often say, hell hath no fury like Eunice with a parking ticket. And God forbid you be the parking agent who wrote that ticket. We have some great stories about parking tickets and such. But finally, kind of as others have mentioned, she taught me to laugh, smile, and enjoy life. Church was a very important part of Mother's community. And as a youngster, I saw her very active in the UCW, United Church Women's Organization, and many other community organizations. She loved that part of community in her life. She was very active. She curled, she cross-country skied. She gardened, although I realized as I got older, she preferred houseplants to working in the garden. As she moved into retirement, she very actively traveled Europe, South America, Asia. But finally, it was her family. She loved her family, and she would go anywhere or do anything for her family. And I always saw her laugh and smile the most when she was with family. Thank you, Mother, for teaching me well. I hope I can teach my children half as well. Thank you.
Jason, thank you so much for that. Okay, just thank you so much for that, Jason. And David, I would like to now turn it over to you. If you want to turn on your video and your audio.
Just having some problems with starting my video there, Patrick. It's not letting me do it. It says the host has stopped me. There you go again. There we go. Thank you.
Try it again.
Yeah, we got it. Good. Thank you.
I'm just like that with my brothers.
No problem. No problem. First of all, Patrick, thank you so much for putting this together, for initiating this and getting this together today. This is a very big task, and we all really appreciate the time and the effort and the initiation of making this happen. I want to thank everybody for being here and joining us today, which would be my mother's 98th birthday today, September 26th. As my brothers and Joanne have already noted, that my mother was a remarkable woman. And we took a format where we all wanted to say something. We didn't want one person doing a eulogy or whatever. So you'll have to bear with this, the new normal. I guess maybe this is the way we'll do memorials moving forward, is that everybody will get up and say something. But I think it was the reason that we all want to get up to say something is because we all loved her so much. And she had such a big impact in our lives that we all wanted our 5 minutes to talk about our mother. So, sorry about the repetition. You will think that maybe some of us got together and actually wrote these together, but here goes the eulogy. I've struggled, quite frankly, about what to say that would truly capture the spirit, as she had so many good qualities. Forthright and independent come to mind. But the thing that stands out the most to me is her positivity through 98 not so easy years. She was a prairie girl, and in the words of Saskatchewan author W.O. Mitchell, it's not what happens to you, but what you do about it. Her personal challenges included having to stay behind in Saskatchewan with the boys and her family when her beloved mom and dad, her brother Bob, wife Dot, and Gord moved to Sydney, BC in 1947. The passing of her first husband, Gerald, at the age of 60. The passing of her oldest son, Bob, at the age of 49. The passing of her beloved granddaughters, Yvonne at the age of 15, Kelly at the age of 19. Yvonne was the oldest grandchild. She went through a cancer diagnosis in 2002 and successfully fought it after rounds of chemo, radiation, and hair loss. In her second marriage to George Tuttle, she had to deal with end-of-life issues in 2011 and 2012, and his final passing in 2012. And finally, in the last 6 or 7 years of her life, she had to deal with her dementia diagnosis. She approached these challenges with a calm acceptance, always confident that things would be okay, staying focused on life's priorities, her family, maintaining good health, her relationships, her faith in God, things that I really admired. My mom was a person who had a definite idea about what she liked and what she didn't like. Her glasses of water had to be full with ice and cold. Her coffee, it had to be good quality, hot, full cups, and lots of it. She had no time for banks, did not like any of them. She had no time for poor service, wastefulness, foolishness with money, and had zero time for the pretentious. Her retirement years involved plenty of time with her local family, the Martmans and my family, which we're extremely grateful to have had her. St. Paul's United Church would be her focal point for her spiritual and social needs. She was addicted to watching curling, especially the Brier World Championships. She played the occasional or not so occasional game of bridge. Daily walks with friends were important, long coffees after that. Long telephone calls with all of her family, all over North America. And invariably, heavy doses of laughter, the good stuff. I can't help but think that Mom's early formative years prepared her well for her future challenges. Having been raised during the Great Depression and World War II, it was a time when the world was facing pretty much unknown economic hardships, political turmoil, uncertainty, and fear. My mom's takeaway from this era was that it was best to face these challenges with a positive attitude, patience, along with a happy and playful disposition. Her pictures from this era depict a happy, content, optimistic young woman who at war's end in 1945, at the age of 22, was married with a 1-year-old son and was an owner-operator of a rather sketchy restaurant with her husband Gerald that was doomed to fail. She was a woman in a man's world, but she did not let that stop her. She was a 21st century woman living in the 50s and 60s. Despite it being a time when women were traditionally taking care of the home front, Mom taught school continuously from 1953 through to the 80s. In the 50s, I remember it well, I was there. She returned to university to obtain a degree. All the while, raising 5 boys, which started in 1944 and went to 1984. Actually, you know what? It went beyond that. It went to 2020, really, to be honest. On a side note, our dad was a pretty progressive guy too, as he was always able and capable of stepping in and taking care of the boys while Mom was teaching. In 1965, as Patrick and Jason have alluded to, they bought the Corona Hotel. Well, I was around and I saw what they left in Fairy Glen when we moved to Porcupine. They had a pretty stable, secure, quiet life. Nice little family home in a nice little town. The money was coming in, life was good. They gave that up. She was 41 years old and they bought the Corona Hotel. And she became, as the boys alluded to, living in the hotel, helping manage the hotel, maintaining the household, raising 3 boys, plus teaching full time in the high school. Impressive stuff. Additionally, in her Porcupine playing years, she was an active member of the United Church, as Jason alluded to. I witnessed her participating in many community events and causes. She enthusiastically took on the role of a politician's wife, and she would finish her Porcupine years off with being a very competent returning officer for the Kelsey constituency in 2 federal elections. I have it from very good sources that colleagues that worked with my mom really liked her and really respected her. As for her students, she was well respected and well liked. As Patrick indicated earlier, she loved having fun, sometimes even to the crazy, doing crazy things. Clearly, we can see in these pictures of hers that this started at a young age. Unfortunately, we didn't get this one up, but there's a picture of her in the 1940s when her brother Bob comes home for a little visit while he was in the Air Force, and she dons his flight suit. That would be our mom, and she had a big smile on her face. Bob was laughing. It would have been done to the great amusement of all around. That was my mom. That was my mom in her whole life. That continued on even to 2011, when Jay and Laura moved to Switzerland, and my mama announced that she was going to go to Switzerland to visit them. And so we packed her up with her walker and all. Joanne and I accompanied her, and we had a most enjoyable and memorable trip. And it was the last one that I had with my mom. And again, she was 88 years old at that point. But as we've all alluded to, her greatest enjoyment and fun in life was being with her family, the Martmans, the O'Byrne Big Ten family, that extended family. She adored them. She loved her grandchildren. They were the smartest grandkids that were ever born. Her daughter-in-laws, she loved and enjoyed every one of them. But nothing made my mom happier than being with her 5 boys, holding court with her 5 boys, maybe a beer or 2. And of course, nothing made her boys happier than being with their siblings and hanging out with their mom. We are currently living through some challenging times: a pandemic, political unrest, social injustices, a questionable world economy, and real apprehension about our well-being. Not easy times, I guess. But my mom has set a high bar for all. To accept our challenges, to move forward with positivity, grace, and a huge sense of humor. The Irish in me would not be able to do this without having to tell you a story. Fortunately, you only got one. On October 19th, 1987, the stock market completely collapsed, with the Dow dropping 22% in one day. The biggest one-day drop in history to today, the biggest ever. As my mom had at least half of her net worth in the market, I was, to say the least, scared. I called my mom to discuss this dire situation. She allowed me to rant and diffuse some of my fears, and then proceeded to tell me a great day she'd had. She'd got up in the morning and gone for a walk with her friends. She'd gone for coffee. She was going to see Bob and Dot for lunch, and she was going to do something at the church later on. That was my mom. I think if my mom was here today, she would look at what's going on in the world with all this noise that's around us, and she might say to us, well, why don't we just chill, everyone? Relax. Laugh a bit. Enjoy your family. Make sure your priorities are straight, as we will all be okay. We will all miss her exuberant spirit, her sound counsel, her good humor, and most of all, her unconditional love. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for that, Dave. Thank you so much for that, Dave. That was really wonderful. We will now play the hymn, Amazing Grace. Thank you. Reverend Bates, if I could ask that you lead us in prayers and blessings before our final hymn.
Thank you. Eunice was a beloved member who knew her. To everything there is a season and a time, and in between, a life fully lived, precious and eternal. And we hold Eunice in our love. As we give thanks for her life, let us pray. God of grace, we thank you for Eunice, who was so loved by those gathered here. We thank you for the friendship she gave and for the strength and the peace she brought. We thank you for the love that she gave and received while she was here with us. And we pray that nothing good in the life of this dear woman will be lost, but will be of benefit to the world. That all that was important to her will be respected by those who follow, and everything that she valued will continue to mean as much, even though she has died. Ever living and compassionate God, we commend Eunice into your safekeeping. Receive her into your loving arms of mercy, and keep her until that day when we shall see her, where there is no mourning, no weeping, no death, but one true light in the life of Jesus Christ, your Son. Dearest Eunice, go forth from this world, knowing that you are loved beyond the telling of it, that you will be missed beyond the knowing of it, and that love never ends, that you will be remembered and cherished, and that one day we shall be together again. May you rest in the peace that is prepared for you in the beautiful presence of God. Amen.
Thank you so much for that, Reverend Bates. Thank you again. I want to thank everyone who has joined us on Facebook Live. This stream will remain playable on Facebook Live for the next few days. We'll also be recording it and posting it on the O'Byrne Facebook page, and a video link we will get a video link, a private video link on YouTube, so that this service will be also available for you there. Eunice, you will be in our hearts forever. I will now play the final hymn. With that, that concludes our service for today. Again, I want to thank everyone for the effort that they've put in with today's service. And I look forward to speaking to you all soon. I love you all. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, everyone. Bye.